Mr. Vega, you hear the question. Now, you testified that Carlo Hesser had set you up to take the fall for his own faked murder. Now, if this is true, what was Carlo planning to use as his own corpse?
I object to this line of questioning, Your Honor. Mr. Gannon is asking the defendant to speculate on the plans of a dead man. Exactly what was in Carlo Hesser's mind is certainly beyond the scope of Mr. Vega's knowledge.
Your Honor, the defense has portrayed Carlo Hesser as having this elaborately detailed plan to frame Mr. Vega for this murder. Now, it seems to me that a body would be an essential component to such a plan. And if Mr. Vega has been able to speculate so lavishly thus far, then it seems reasonable that he'd be able to guess at this last, most compelling detail.
Oh, come on, Hank. Mr. Vega is perceptive. He's not a psychic.
Your Honor, all I'm asking for is one faintly plausible suggestion that would bridge the credibility gap.
Mrs. Buchanan, you did open the door to this line of questioning during your direct. I will allow the prosecution to follow it up. Mr. Vega, you're directed to answer the question. Mr. Vega, you will answer the question.
I have no idea what Carlo was planning on doing for a corpse. Maybe he didn't think that far ahead.
I see. Well then, Mr. Vega, would you please explain for us, since you've done such a fine job of speculating so far, why Carlo Hesser would go to these lengths? I mean, and yet he would overlook the one very necessary detail of a dead body.
Oh, objection. Asked and answered.
Your Honor, the defendant has been invited to theorize at great lengths, and I'm just asking him to theorize a little more to the logical conclusion of his hypotheses.
Overruled.
Mr. Vega?
I don't know. Maybe he wanted me to suffer through the police investigation. Maybe the ultimate payoff wasn't that big of a deal since he wasn't going to be sticking around anyway. Maybe he wanted you to make legal history by reaching a conviction without a body.
Don't push it, Antonio.
So, Carlo Hesser really had it in for you.
If it would have got me busted, he would have cut off his right arm and mailed it to you.
But Mr. Vega, we don't have Carlo's right arm. What we have is Carlo's fully intact corpse with a bullet hole right through the middle of the brain.
I didn't kill anybody.
Okay, Mr. Vega. The presumption of innocence is your birthright as an American. But so much is troubling in this case, Mr. Vega. For example, this second shirt. Why was it never found?
The second shirt was found. That was the one that was planted in my closet. The first shirt and only shirt I ever wore, I gave to Goodwill.
And does Goodwill have it?
If they did, we'd probably wave it at you. Somebody must have bought it.
I see. But we don't have that someone to show us that first unbloodied, unburned shirt, do we? No, see, what we have is its identical twin. The one that was found in your closet, Mr. Vega. The one that did have Carlo Hesser's blood on it. The one that you did burn down to his last fragment.
Objection, Your Honor. This is not cross-examination, it's lecturing.
Sustained. Move on, Mr. Gannon.
Yes, Your Honor. Fine, then let's leave the willful destruction of evidence for a later discussion. And instead, let's turn to how your palm print, Mr. Vega, was the only identifiable print on the gun that killed Carlo Hesser. I often had occasion to handle the gun just to move it in the drawer or put it out of the way, end quote. Do you recall saying this?
Yes, I recall.
I see. And Mr. Vega, can you see where I find this explanation vague?
Objection.
No, I don't.
Well, Your Honor, I will rephrase. Mr. Vega, can you or can you not recall a specific time in the week to 10 days prior to the murder when you had occasion to handle Detective Harrison's weapon?
No, I can't. But I'm sure you know that fingerprints stay on metal a long, long time.
Yes, Mr. Vega, I'm aware of that, and how convenient for you that you were living with a police officer. Perhaps you got careless.
Oh, objection, Your Honor.
Or maybe you just started to believe that you had some special type of immunity that enabled you to literally get away with murder.
I object.
Withdrawn, Your Honor.
Motion to strike.
The district attorney's remarks will be stricken from the record. The jury is instructed to disregard Mr. Gannon's last comments.
Burned the shirt with Carlo Hess's blood on it. Now, she told us that she woke up and found that you were gone, and she looked out the window onto Angel Square and saw you down there burning something. Do you recall her testimony?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And you subsequently testified that you burned the shirt not out of guilt, but out of fear. Do you recall this? Could you verbally respond?
Yeah.
Are you certain, Mr. Vega, that it wasn't guilt that you were feeling? Guilt that your victim's bloody shirt was in your closet while a few feet away in your bed you were making love to a police officer. Guilt, Mr. Vega, that you used your lover's gun to murder a man in cold blood.
You can't prove your case, so you go out and look for another.
Objection.
What are you looking for?
Your Honor, the district attorney is deliberately and unconscionably trying to bait the witness.
I am conducting a cross-examination.
Sit down. All of you. The jury will please disregard this last exchange. The court will take a 5-minute recess to allow the principals to regain their composure. Mr. Vega, you may step down during the break.
All rise.